Before we begin our Flash ActionScript 3.0 form components tutorial, I just wanted to show you the finished product. And this is what we have created in the tutorial. And you can see it has nice elements for gathering data from a user. And I show you how to program all these things in, and from start to finish. And as always, the source files for the FLA, the PHP parse file, and everything you need is free for download at developphp.com under the Flash Tutorials tab. And just as an edit, a side edit here, just so you know, I had to put some code in. You won't see me code this in as we go through the tutorial, but I had to put some code in here to make the radio buttons grouping work correctly, and that's why that looks a little different there. But all the source code is intact. This thing works beautiful. Have a ball. Adam at Develop PHP here with another Flash ActionScript 3.0 form tutorial. In our previous form lessons, we built our form elements from scratch. In this lesson, I'll show you how to simply drag the pre-baked components from the components library to easily assemble and program a quick, powerful form. Keep in mind that using any Flash components is much bulkier than creating your own custom elements and components, and that's why I show everybody normally how to create everything from scratch without using the pre-baked components. The same items can take up to 3 to 5 times longer to load in the user's browser. The same file will take that much longer to load if you use the pre-baked components instead of making them from scratch. But for those who want clean and easy and quick, this is great for you, so follow along. So we'll click a Flash ActionScript 3 file. I'm in Flash CS3 Professional, and you can be in Flash CS4 Professional for this as well. So Flash ActionScript 3 file, open it up, and we have a brand new stage here. And what we'll do is set the stage dimensions first thing. So you go down to size at the bottom there, and we'll make it 500 by 500. Press OK. And now we'll change the background color to what we want. Make it a nice dark color there. And first thing we're going to do is drag out a rectangle. That's going to be the form background cosmetics. It just serves the purpose of having a background in the form for the form. Now once you have that on stage in layer 1, the main scene, you right click it, convert to symbol, and name it whole form. And we do this, press OK, make sure it's a movie clip, press OK. And we do this just so that when we're done making the form, it's going to be in its own movie clip here that you can copy and paste into other Flash files that you have going. And if you go in the library, you'll see you can even right click it and copy from the library and then go and paste it into another Flash file. So it works nice like that when everything's in its own movie clip. And I would advise that you put everything, all of your independent Flash elements that can be nested inside of a movie clip. I would recommend you nest them inside movie clips, and then learn how to code for parent movie clips. That way you can jump up through levels in Flash and code for the different timeline levels. Okay, so now we can double click inside of that rectangle, and now let's build our timeline like normal. And so layer 1 we'll call form background, because that's where the background is sitting right now, that rectangle we created. The next layer up, I pressed insert layer. It creates a new layer. Then you double click the layer and you can rename it. I'm going to rename it form elements. And then one more, we'll add it, rename it actions. And that's where we're going to put our ActionScript 3 code. Now we can start assembling this thing. So let's click the text tool and just make a regular static text. Type in my contact form, or whatever you want to title the form, if you want a title for your form. Maybe you won't need it for inside of your movie clip here. And then you can go to filter effects and add a drop shadow effect to that. Take the strength down to about 38, 28, about 30. That looks good. There, my contact form. And this thing, make it just a tad lighter on the fill color by sliding that color slider up. Okay, that looks good. So now we're going to start placing our form elements, and we put the title on our actions layer. So let's press Control X to remove it off of that. Put it on the form elements layer. Press Control Shift V to paste it in place. Okay, now let's start with the form elements we need. We're going to drag out another text, and it's going to be a dynamic text this time. So you select dynamic text, and then this one you make the size a little bit smaller. This is going to be the status text field, which gives the user the reporting of what's happening in the form. If they happen to make a mistake, forget to fill something in, or when the form is successfully transmitted to the parse file and it comes back with a return message, this is where the return message winds up. So this is very important. And you just instance name it status underscore txt. So now we have a status text field. Let's make it what's a good color for that? Dark blue. Okie dokie. And you can embed it with uppercase, lowercase, numerals, and punctuation. Press OK. That way it won't look all pixelated, and it'll have whatever text you want to put. It will render that text correctly, no matter whether or not the user has that text installed on their machine. So that's what embedding text is for. So that way your status text field will display the way you like. Now the next thing we have to do is grab a text input from we'll start grabbing components now, the pre-baked components. And the first thing we want is where is it? Text input. Grab one of those, and you can resize those to be the width that you like. And I'm going to make ours 150 just to get it a little bigger. And after I put all these elements, I'll go ahead and put the labels for them here, like you see in most forms. Well, actually, let's go ahead and do that now. We'll call this one name. Let's align it to the right. Move it over just a little bit, and we'll make it static, because we don't need dynamic for that. It's just a label. Okay, so now we have a name field. Let's drag it over a bit. That looks good. Make this a little larger. Alrighty. Now we're going to copy both of those by pressing Shift while we select items. You select multiple items, then press Control C, Control Shift V to paste them in place. Let's copy and paste in place. And this one will be email. We'll gather the email address, and the next ones, actually for the next one we'll just press Control C on the email label and press Control Shift V, and we'll call this one message. So this one will do, and we'll drag out the pre-baked component, which is the text area for the message. This way they can put multiple lines. Make sure it lines up with those. Good. Okay, let's make this one 200, a little bit wider. That's good. You can make it as high as you want to. Just set the height down here. Okay, so next thing we want to do is add a combo box for countries. We're going to let them select countries, and we want to gather their country data from them. So we'll grab a combo box, add that to stage, get it lined up. Now we'll take this, Control C, Control Shift V, move it down into place, and we'll just label this country. Now I'm going to be using ActionScript alone to populate the pull downs, the drop down selections that's going to be in this combo box, and you'll see how I do that a little bit later on in this video, but it's pretty simple. Okay, so the next thing we want to take this, Control C, Control Shift V, move it down, and this one we're going to put up for a numerical stepper. So we'll say number of children. We'll ask the user how many kids they have, just for the example of numeric stepper. So we'll go into the components library, grab the numeric stepper out. Now we have a numeric stepper. Okie dokie. Now we're going to grab a couple of radio buttons out of the components library for their gender, the user gender. See if they're male or female. They can tell us what they are. Let's see, where is it? Radio button. Drag that out. Slide it into place wherever you want it. And let's drag out another one. And they should have both have the same radio group name. 308, 308. Okay. Let's go to the parameters and make sure radio button group. Yep. And this one we're going to make the label. You can double click that right there to say male. Let's make it capital. This way it shows male on the form. And then this one, change the label here to female. And give it a value of F. That way when the form parse file submits the email to you, it'll say F or M. And this one will highlight and give that an M for value. Okay. And what's next now? We have what else can we show you how to program into your form? You got radio buttons, numeric stepper, country pull down, or whatever kind of pull down you want. Let's do a checkbox. Grab a checkbox out, and we'll say this is for submit to our newsletter type thing, or join our newsletter listing. And this one will change the label to say join our newsletter, and then it'll reflect it there. If it cuts off the words, you can just change the width to accommodate. There we go. Now let's get some labels in for that. Control C, Control Shift V. Remember, we highlight multiple items, select multiple items by holding Shift as we select them. This one will say newsletter. This one will say gender. Okie dokie. Now all we need is a submit button. So let's go back into the components library and grab the button. Slap that on stage. And we're going to name it, give it a label in the parameters tab here of submit form. And then when you click it, you'll see it changes the name. Okay. I think that's it. Let's make a little movie clip real quick. Just type the word processing. And this is, I like to create a little processing movie clip in all my forms to let the user, give a user a good indication that they just pressed the submit button and our form is smart and it's processing the data. They have a clear indication that something's going on and they're about to receive some data back. Okay, so let's right click that static text field we just put, convert it to a symbol, and we'll name it processing. In the library, press OK, and we'll name it processing MC here. This is the instance name that will refer to it in the code. Processing underscore MC. Now double click inside of it. Okay, now we're inside of the processing underscore MC movie clip, and you can highlight frame 2, go up to insert, timeline, keyframe, and it makes a new keyframe there. On the second keyframe, make it solid black. So if you go back and forth between those two keyframes, you'll see it flashing, and that's what the user will see when we want them to see it. But this movie clip will be initially set to invisible, so they won't see it initially when they come to the form, only when they press submit. Okay, so now I think we are ready to program this thing. We have all the elements we need on stage. We have our status text that gives the user the response when they press submit. The PHP file sends the message back. It lands right there. They can add their name, their email, their message. They can pick a country after we put the country list in through the action script. The number of children is already set up to be a 1 through 10 stepper. And actually, let's go ahead and make that a 0, because let's say value. You'll see the maximum and minimum is 0 to 10. So let's make the start value on it 0, because if people don't have any children. And join newsletter checkbox, male and female radio buttons for them to pick their gender or tell us their gender, the submit button, and the processing movie clip. That's everything you need as far as the form elements go. Before we put in the script to make everything work in the actions layer here, we have to give everything an instance name. Make sure it all has an instance name. That way the code can connect to each item on stage here. This one has an instance name of status underscore txt. That's ready to go. This one will give a name of instance name underscore txt. This one, instance name of email underscore txt. This one, the message field, msg underscore txt. This country combo box is going to be country list. That sounds good. And the next one is going to be kids. That'll tell us the number of children they have, and the number of kids they have. And here we have a radio group. Radio group. This one is also radio group. I'm not sure if these need instance names or not, or if they use the parameter name here, radio. Let's make sure that's the same one. You can experiment with that to see if you need an instance name or not. But I think as long as the group name is radio group, we can refer to it as in the code as that. Okay. Next is the newsletter, and that one will let's name that newsletter. Nope, let's name it checkbox, because that's what it is. Okay, that has instance name checkbox. This should have an instance name of submit underscore btn, because that's our submit button. This has an instance name already of processing underscore mc, and we're good to go now. Now we can code this thing out and everything will work. So in our actions layer, we'll highlight the keyframe there, press F9 to open your actions panel, or you can go to if you have your actions panel set up over here, you can just boop, hit that little button. I like to set all of my little tools or my libraries and tools over here in little boxes. And then you can always save your workspace by going to workspace, save, and whatever. And alright, let's program this thing. So the first thing we want to do is hide that little processing movie clip, because we don't want this thing flashing by default when they come to the form, only when they press the submit button. So we have to take care of that. So let's type in a little note and say hide processing MC. And to do that, you type in processing underscore MC dot visible equals false, semicolon. Now that will hide the movie clip on stage. Let's see if we render out. You see, there's no flashing movie clip. And if I take that line of code away, then render out, you'll see how it's flashing. We don't want that. So that's why I added that line of code. Now let's move along to setting up the next set of things. And the next set of things that needs to be set up is this country combo box has to have its lists populated. So when they pull down, they see a list. Right now it's empty. And so let's make ourselves another note, and we'll say this is the custom function we create to populate the combo box list. Okay, so let's just make a little custom function here. We can name it whatever we want. Function add countries to list. Sounds good. That's the function name. Let's put the opening and closing parenthesis, colon, void, open the curly bracket, curly brace. What do we call that stupid thing? And then we'll target what the instance name is on the combo box, and that was country list dot add item. This is how we're going to start pushing items into the, or adding items to the component. Let me type in label, colon, open parentheses, open double quote, close double quote, close that curly bracket, and close the parenthesis, put in semicolon. Now go back in between the double quotes and put in please choose, and that'll be the default value that is in the form. Or you can just have it say United States by default. Yeah, let's just do that. United States. Now we can just highlight that line and add 4 more. 1, 2, 3. Well, let's just add 3 more. You can add as many as you want, up to I don't know, I think it's unlimited. You can add as many as you want. I do not know if there's a limit or not, but I've never hit a wall on adding items to a list. Canada. Oops, I can't spell Canada. Let's see, Canada. And we'll put the United Kingdom in this one. Okay, so we got United States, Mexico, Canada, and United Kingdom. That's the countries that will be in the drop-down list. And now we have to execute and run this function to actually make it populate the list, or else it'll just be a custom function sitting there and it won't execute itself. So we have to have it run. To do that, we just put the function name and then open close parenthesis and semicolon. That will effectively execute that function. Let's type in a little message to ourselves here, a little comment. Run function above now. Okay. Okay, now we're going to build the variable. That way we can send variables with the form to the PHP parse script. Let's spell this correctly. Okay, so we'll just name it that var variables, and we'll say URL request, URL variables, sorry. URL variables equals new URL variables. New URL variables. Okay, so that assigns a variable name for the URL variables object here. Now what we can do is, I have a note set up. It says build the send var send variable. So that's what we'll do, and this is going to be the URL request for connecting to the PHP parse file. So let's say var send colon URL request equals new URL request, and then open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and semicolon, and in between the parentheses put in a set of double quotes, and in between the double quotes put your URL you want to connect to, and this is going to be form parse.php. That's going to be the name of the file I create for when the form button, the submit button is pressed. All the variables, all this data we want is going to be sent to form parse.php file sitting on the server with this SWF. Okay, so the next line we have to set the send method. So we'll say var send, we'll use that variable name, dot method, make sure it's the post method, not the get method. And so this will be URL request method dot post, all capitals. And the next line we're going to add the variables right here, the variables object, to the var send URL request. So let's control C there. Var send dot data equals variables. That'll send the variable data with the post to the form parse file. Okay, now we're going to build the var loader variable. So let's make ourselves a note. Build the var loader variable. Now this one is going to be set for loading the variables object into the URL request. Okay, so let's say var loader. This is the URL loader equals new URL loader, semicolon. Then we'll type in var loader colon, dot data format equals URL loader data format. And some of these are really long. Dot variables, all capitals here, and semicolon. Then var loader dot add event listener, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon, and in between the parentheses we'll type event dot complete, and the name of the function that will run will be complete handler. There. So what that did is it added an event listener to the stage, and it's going to run a function. When this listener fires off, it'll run the function of complete handler, and we're going to create that function right now. So let's type in a note and say handler for the PHP script completion and return of data message, and return of message, or return of status. Okay, now we're going to name this function write what we named it here in the event listener. So function complete handler, open parenthesis, this is event colon event colon void, and we'll open the curly bracket, the curly brace. I'm gonna find out what the name of that thing is. Curly bracket, curly brace, whatever the hell you are. I'll look it up on Wiki. Shut up. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the processing movie clip because it's going to be flashing on stage here. So let's say remove processing clip. Now the next line we're going to say processing dot visible equals false. That way we don't want the user to see it anymore, because at that point it's going to be flashing because they would have already hit the submit button. But when the data comes back from PHP, we want to make sure it's not flashing anymore because the data is back. That's all that's doing. Now let's clear some form fields so they understand that everything's done. And they'll also get a message too, but we just want to be really clear with the user because people are stupid, you know that. Okay, so name underscore txt dot text equals, and make it a blank value by putting double quotes with nothing in between them. Now the next one, let's just copy that. Control C, let's go down a line, paste, go down another line, paste. Here, let me get some space here. Okay, so now we'll put this one, make this say email. That'll clear the email form field, and this will clear the message form field. And we can also clear the kids number of children numeric stepper by placing value equals 0 here. Clear it back to 0. And we can clear the radio group. Actually, I'm not sure how to clear the radio group. I know we can clear the checkbox. Checkbox dot selected equals false. Yeah, when I figure out how to clear the radio group selections and the country pull down, I'll add those back in. So, but this will clear the checkbox and the number of children's field. Alrighty. Now the important part is here. Let's make a note and say load the response from PHP here. And we load the response from PHP here by adding it to the status underscore txt dot text field sitting on stage, and this will be the event of the function that we're in, which is the complete handler event, and this will be event dot target. I'm going to target that data coming back. Dot data dot return message. The reason why we put a variable of return message here is because that's what we're going to assign it as in the PHP script, and you'll see that in a few minutes. Okay, so that's it for that function. That complete handler function is finished. Okay, now we're going to add an event listener and create the function necessary for when the user clicks the submit button to send all the data to the PHP file along with all the variables. So let's make ourselves a note or the comment here, and let's say add event listener for submit button click, and that will be submit underscore btn, that's the instance name on the button, dot add event listener, and open parenthesis type in mouse event dot click, all capitals, comma, and this is going to be the function name that I'm about to set up the function below here. Let's type in the function name. Let's call it validate and send. Close the parenthesis and close it up with a semicolon. Now let's write a little note and say function. Let's just grab this here, Control C, function validate and send. Now let's go ahead and build that function. Function space validate and send, and open parenthesis, type in event dot mouse event, or event colon mouse event, close parenthesis, semicolon, and type in void, open the curly brace and close the curly brace. Now we have our function set up right here, and right here in between the opening and closing brackets we'll type in what we want to happen in the function. And first thing we have to do is validate form fields, and so let's take a note here and say validate fields. Go one down, and we'll say if this is a conditional statement set up to see if the name text has any text written in it. If it doesn't, we got to give them an error message in the status text field saying, "Oops, you forgot to add your name to the form. Please add it." So we type in the name of the text field dot length, and that gathers how much, how many characters are typed into it. Let's open the curly bracket for the function, or for the conditional, and close it down here. And now let's put the outcome that we want to happen in that. So let's say status underscore txt, which is our status and error reporting field, dot text, dot text equals please enter your name. Put that in double quotes and close it off with a semicolon. Okay, now we'll say else if, now we're going to see if they put in any data into the email field. If they didn't, we're going to give them a little error message and say you forgot to put data in the email field. So we'll say else if, let's just copy this one. Let's grab that. So we say else if, paste that right in, and we have our conditional here and the outcome here. And now we'll say this has to be changed so we can run this on the email field. So email text dot length, please enter your email. And if you want an email validation method or function, I have it for my other two forms that I programmed before this one. There's an email validation method I have inside of those two forms that you can get to by downloading the source files, and it'll show you how to set up the email validation method. It'll check for the @ symbol, the dot, make sure everything is structured correctly in the email so they don't give bogus emails when they're submitting. But in this one I'm not going to add it. Now we're going to copy this condition, paste it in here, and we're going to say MSG text. Now MSG for the message text, please enter your message. That's if you want to require a message. If you don't want to require any of these things, don't put any of these conditionals in. It's that simple. But for the things you want to require, you put the conditionals in here to listen for them. And now we'll type in else if everything is cool, then we finish it off. Let's close that up. And we finish off by sending the data now. Now we can add all of the code that's required to send to the PHP form right here in this else conditional, because we'll know that all the errors have been checked for and to make it through okay, so we'll send it to the form now. So we'll type ourselves, we'll go down one more, type ourselves a note, say all is good, send the data now to PHP. Okay, actually down here let's type ourselves a note on this closing bracket and say close else condition for error handling. If you didn't want to have error handling in here, you wouldn't need any of these if and else conditions. You could just put the all is good code that I'm about to put right here. Alright, so now we're going to show the processing movie clip, because this is the function that actually fires off when they hit the submit button. So if all is good, we show them the processing movie clip because we are processing to PHP file now. So processing underscore MC dot visible will equal true to make it show on stage. It's that simple. And you can see what we do with that processing movie clip is we just make it appear and disappear at the appropriate times that we need it to. It's very simple. And now we're going to type in a note and say ready the variables in our form for sending. And let's get them all packed up into the variables object that we created here. See this variables object, the URL variables? I'm going to pack the form variables into it now. So let's type in variables dot username, and this is what we're going to send. This is the variable name that PHP is going to pick up, and we're not using this name in Flash, you'll notice, but this is where PHP is going to get the data. It's going to use that data name equals name underscore txt dot text. That way it'll add what's in the field to this data holder, and that data holder can be accessed in PHP. Now we're going to set up the rest. Let's just copy that, press Ctrl C, go down a line. Oops, let's see. Let's get these under where they should be. Okay. Now we'll say user email, and this will equal email text. Do the same thing for the message. User, I guess we'll call this MSG. User MSG equals MSG underscore txt dot text. Let's copy those three. We're going to have to add some more here for the other components. Now we have a country list. Let's see, we have a country list, a stepper, the genders, and the newsletter. So let's say user country. This one will be the user kids. This one will be the user gender. And we need more. Let's see, 2 more should do it. The user gender, then the newsletter. And we'll say user newsletter. We'll name that one. Equals, well, we'll set those up in a second. Let's see, let's go back to, we don't need that one, because the checkbox for the newsletter is the last thing before the button, I do believe. Yeah. Okay. So now The user country, we have to change the way we're going to access that value a little bit. So we want to type in the correct thing there. Say country list, which is the name of our instance name of our combo box component on stage. Country list dot value, and that will get the value out of that drop down list for you, whatever it's selected as at the time they press submit. Okay, so country list, then the kids, the same thing. Instance name on that numerical stepper is kids, and that will have to be value as well. And then the next thing is the radio group. Instance name for that radio group, and that will be value as well. And this one will be for the checkbox, and this has to be selected. To see if it's selected or not, you send that. I think, let me check. Yeah, selected. And that'll tell you if it's selected or not by giving you a true or false in your parse file. And last thing, and the most important thing, is to send it. Send the data to PHP now. So this next line is going to shoot the data to the PHP file. So var loader dot load, and we'll put a open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon, and inside the parenthesis we'll add our var send object that was created here, which is a URL request object, and it's or a method, and it's posting all these variables to the PHP parse file that we designate here. And it has to be sitting in your server in the same directory as your SWF file and your HTML file that holds the SWF file. It's very important. Okay. Let's see. I think we're done. Should we close? Make sure we close that function. Yep. Close, validate, and send function. But I do believe that wraps up everything. Now if we press F12, I got errors. Let's see what we got. Undefined property processing, undefined property checkbox. So let's go here. Make sure this has the correct name, which it did not. It had a small b, it needed a big B. And processing needs to say underscore MC wherever I wrote that right here. And that's it. That takes care of all the errors. Oh, we still have an error of checkbox right here. That should be a large B. Make sure it's all correct. Checkbox, checkbox. Okay, now let's publish. That's it. There she is. Now you can see if I try to submit the form, it says please enter your name. And we'll type our name in. And what's cool about the components is they put a nice little ring around the selected item that you're typing into. Then if you type in your email, or if you forget your email, you press submit form, it'll say please enter your email. So that's how the error handling works. And please enter your message, type in a message, and then that's all the error handling. So when you press submit form, but we have no PHP parse file written yet, so that's the last step. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, I just went ahead and wrote out the PHP parse file for that form that we just built, and because I didn't want to sit here and waste another half an hour of coding when you can just go and download all the source files for the whole tutorial package, source file for the Flash and the PHP from developphp.com. It's a whole lot easier if you are already intermediate at an intermediate Flash skill level to just go and get source files and code. You can dig in through the source files, adapt them, change them up, use them up, and it just seems to be a lot easier workflow that way. But if you want to see it, here it is, and you can pause it, type it in. There's the first half. Now I'll show you what's here down below. And now the very bottom. So if you want to type it in here, you can just pause it and type in those 3 sections and have the complete parse script. And you would have to change your email here and add a couple of other things. The subject line should say, you know, message from your site, whatever. So what happens is the first chunk of code here takes the variables and it creates local PHP variables from the Flash ActionScript posted variables. You see those names we assigned. We're using them right here. Then we just make a new variable name here. Then we strip slashes on the typed in variables, the 3 form fields that we had where user can type in. We want to make sure that we strip slashes on those and do any other security checks at that point you want to do right there, PHP wise. And then right here is where you change a few items to make it email to you. This is the most important line in the script, line 21, where you change this to your email. That way it sends the form data to you, or else you're not going to get it if you don't change that line. You won't get any email and you'll think it's broken. So you got to change that line. This can stay the same for the time being, but you'll want to change that eventually. And here is where we pack all of the variables into the message. And then we use a regular mail function in PHP to send the data to your email address using the headers that we assigned right here. And right now here we set the variable string, the sentence that's going to go back into Flash, and we use their name right here in the sentence, the name variable. See, sender name. So it's going to say, if your name was Adam, it would say, thanks Adam, all the data has been sent. You'll see that in Flash, which is really cool. And then right here is actually printing the data to the browser. That way it sends it back to Flash. And that's what that does. Then you just exit the script. You don't even have to actually exit the script there. It'll exit itself once it finishes executing. But I just like to exit it up just to clear up resources right away. And that's the whole tutorial. Like I said, I'll have all the Flash source files, the source file for Flash. I'll have the source file, this PHP source file in the package, and in a directory structure like it should be. And these files want to be together on your server. The parse file here wants to be with the SWF file and the HTML file that holds it on your server. Same directory. Or if you want to use a different directory, you simply go into the ActionScript and change the URL request to say you had a folder called scripts. You say scripts / form parse.php. That way it'll look into a folder on your server called scripts and use the parse file that's in it there. That's it. We hope you find this lesson on adding form components to your Flash files handy. And make sure you target player 9 or higher for all of the components to work correctly. You want to be in your settings targeting Flash player 9. If you need to get to it, you press settings down here. You go to version Flash player 9. And I think that's it. Wait, let me see. Right there, detect Flash version. You could also select that. But that's everything. Alright, we'll see you guys next lesson.